Hey Gemini, there we go. So Jumini, I'm calling y'all Jumini. So if your Jupiter is in Gemini or Gemini, then this reading may be for you. So I'm going to be using an opposite in this reading because I'm a Gemini today. You don't know who I am. Actually, my South Node is in Gemini, so it speaks for itself. I was thinking about Jupiter and Gemini, right? And I'm like, well, air is like that's communication signs. So I feel like Jupiter and Gemini, it's finding Jupiter is expansion. Creativity just came to mind. Creative because it can expand beyond what is. I guess it's ingenious, ingenuity, innovative. Um, It is good fortune. It is ancient wisdom, and it don't like to be restrained. Can't be tamed. Gemini and Jupiter can't be tamed. Um, it's like people are trying to fence you in, and before they can even finish it, you're already gone. What was I was thinking? I was like, oh, so when we went from like stone tablets to papyrus, and then we went from like papyrus to pen and paper. When we went from pen and paper to emails, and then when we went from all of that to like text, and from text to emojis and abbreviations, I'm like, Jiminy is in telepathy right now. And then something happened. I can't even remember. Um, but Jiminy, y'all. So I'm using the Spirit Keeper's Tarot to signify anchor the energies into the spread, and then I'm using the Wild Unknown Tarot to actually read the spread, right? And so what happens is, even if I go from reading to reading, I shuffle everything together, or I put all the cards together. I shuffle out the old, I shuffle in the new, and then I go through it. Like three of the significators are the same for every reading. But the one that changes is the one for the zodiac. So I'm flipping through all the cards because I flip them over one by one instead of like turning the whole deck over and just going through. I flip them over one by one, and the wheel came out, and then Temperance came out, and then after a while I'm like, oh my gosh, because the lighting isn't that great, and it's an interesting eye day for me today. So my eyes are whatever. They're functional. They're healing. Um, but I'm like, oh my gosh, did I miss them? And then the moon comes out, and I'm like getting down to the bottom of the deck, and I'm like, oh my gosh, if I have to look through this whole pile to find the lovers for Jiminy, then I'm gonna be upset. And I found the lovers. It was the second card. It was the card next to the card on the bottom. And then the card on the bottom of the deck was the Three of Cups. And then the Six of Cups is the card in the Wild Unknown that flipped over while I was shuffling. So Jumini, y'all is like maybe y'all's in I don't know, it's telepathic communication with people that you're closest to a thing yet. If it ain't, then Jumini, you probably on it before everybody else get on it. Low key. Like what's next, Jumini? Tell me. How are we gonna be talking in 2050? um but yeah, let's sort of get into this. So Jumini, I feel like you might have a lot of associates that are expansive. Jupiter in Aquarius is also like about it could be about expanding social networks in a very professional way. But I feel like Gemini would be about expanding networks or expanding. I don't know. It's weird because it's like Leo, Jupiter and Leo can be about expanding family. Jupiter and Cancer can be about expanding family. But Gemini energy is it's very quick. Expanding like new business practices. That's where I was going. I was like, where was I going? I forgot. Like, and then Gemini, y'all got the most cards. Like, two cards came out in position like two or three, and that's never happened. Usually, two cards will come out in position five. And then three cards came out in position five, and I was like, do I want all of these? And I was like, it's Gemini, so they're probably gonna be doing the most. So even if you're not a Gemini, even if you have a lot of earth or a lot of water in your chart, when you get excited about something new or expansion, then you can just be like all out, like all over the place, like this and this and this and that and this and that and this and that. And I'm just like, you might surprise yourself with how quick you can be sometimes. Um, Charts are interesting because we all have many sides. Unless all your planets are on the same side, then that's like a mega conjunction, and you might be some kind of golden child or something. I don't know. Um, but my Jupiter is in Libra, so hey, Jupiter trines. Can y'all tell that my Jupiter is also in an air sign? Whenever I'm talking about something new or whenever I expand on something, I put a lot of air into it. A lot of air. I'm talking a lot. So let's just start flipping. And this one is actually gonna, even though y'all got the most cards so far, this one is gonna follow like standard procedures and standard protocol. So I won't be as confused as I was last time. And we're opening up with the Eight of Pentacles and the Nine of Wands in reverse. Eight of Pentacles, Nine of Wands in reverse. Remember how I was saying, what did I say? Did I say new businesses? Because if I didn't say new businesses, I meant to. Ingenuity, innovative. Gemini also like is ruled by Mercury. Mercury rules commerce. It's like selling stuff. A person with a Jupiter in Gemini, maybe you would be good in like marketing. Or advertising, like, you know, finding new ways to spread the word, finding new ways to talk about something, to spin it in a way that's very pretty. And you might find a lot of success there. Jupiter, like a Jupiter, there's a lot of success that can be found in a Jupiter placement. My Mercury is in Pisces in retrograde, and the Mercury right now is in Pisces in this pre-retrograde shadow. I thought I was going to be all right because my natal Mercury is in Pisces in retrograde anyway. But I've been like extra tongue-tied and forgetful, so excuse me, but it is what it is. If you don't like it, you ain't gotta watch. So step number 1. Let's look at something that we need to talk about, right? So, let's talk about work. Let's talk about work, Jiminy. Are you, because with the Nine of Wands down here in this deck, it's a different kind of completion. You're almost at the moon. So you may be you may like work that is very unconventional. Jumini, you may also be the type of person that has like multiple side jobs instead of like one job. Multiple streams of income and of revenue. And if you don't, that might be something. No, I don't think so. If you do, I'm feeling like it might be time to sort of like really focus on one of them right now. If you have multiple streams of income and it's like your time and your energy and your effort is so divided that you can't really progress in one, then it might be time to put a little bit more energy and effort into a specific one. And I don't know why, or it might be time to like step outside of your feelings a little bit. Because, I mean, even Geminis know. I feel like Geminis get the collective frustration that mutable signs get. Because Pisces can be just as mutable as Gemini, and Pisces can have just as many faces. But the way a Pisces goes about wearing their faces, it's like, you know, we're like the chameleons. So the face that we have for every occasion is blending in. The face that we wear to the occasion isn't necessarily the face that is going to cause the most conversation, I'll say. So thank you, Geminis. This is just a shout out to Geminis because I'm a Pisces sun and I know how mutable I am, and people seem to focus all their frustration with mutable signs on Gemini. So I'm like, hey, I give thanks to Gemini because if it weren't for Gemini, people would be talking about me. And Gemini, y'all are tough. Y'all don't care. Y'all have a face that's like, y'all have a stone face that don't even care. Like Pisces, not that y'all don't have hearts, but all of our faces have hearts. Because once we get in our feelings, the faces, like the masks, they crack. Gemini, y'all might be able to hold it until y'all go home and then crack. But yeah, something to externalize. I think also, if you do have multiple opportunities, if there's an area that you want to step up in, make it known. Because it might be the situation where, like, you might be, this could be relationships, it could be work and career, finances, and whatever. It's a general, right? So if I'm reading it in the context of, let's say, a relationship, but the commitment aspect you feel falls in line more with a career that you have, then apply it to the career, because careers are relationships too. They might be different, but anything that you give time to and energy and effort to and make a priority can be a relationship. Um, right. But I'm getting, it might also be that, like, if you want to step up in an area, then, like, make that known. Don't be afraid to, and I don't know, maybe you might think, and I'm going to pull some more cards, but you might think that you're not the type of person, maybe you've never necessarily been in a situation where you've been fully committed to one thing, because maybe your interests are just really broad, and maybe you go on a lot of tangents, and, like, you really like to learn, you really like to feel that your mind is expanding. And you might do it so quickly that you don't necessarily, like, it's, what's the saying? It's like jack of all trades, master of none, but better than a master of one, or something like that. So it's like, it's not that you're necessarily bad, but it might be time to rein it back a little bit, right? Or to be a little bit more intentional with the way you go about it. So let's say you have a project coming up that is really new for you, that's going to stretch you in a lot of ways, because we have the Nine of Wands down here. So it might be for you to, like, divide up your attention into the different aspects. Like, first you want to break it down, because this is Virgo energy. The Eight of Pentacles is Virgo energy. So first you, like, break it down into different sections. Then you dive into this section, you dive into this section, you dive into that section, you dive into that section. And then you're forming this cohesive picture of the situation as you move forward, right? Ooh, we'll see where this is going, because Jumini, y'all got me a little bit. Oh, so there's, wait, is this? Okay, there were 2 and the 3. Oh my gosh. And then 1 and the 2. Oh, we got death in reverse. What ain't changing? What's stuck? I told you my eyes are a little questionable today, so forgive me. Death in reverse and the 4 of Swords in reverse. Oh, y'all is restless for real. You're restless, but you don't want to change. It's like you don't like where you are, but you don't want to do nothing new either. You just rather sit and complain. Let's see. So something to release. Release your resistance to transformation. Right? With the 4 of Swords in reverse, this could be, like, I was saying, if you're the type of person that has multiple streams of income, it might be time to settle into one a little bit more, to further yourself in one area just a little bit more, just a tad bit more, Jumini, just a touch more. It's not an extremely serious commitment, just a little bit more responsibility might be good for you. Because I think you might be coming into a time where you're going to appreciate the not stability, it will be a little bit of stability, not having your efforts so divided, but you'll appreciate the calm. Or you're going to be in a situation where you're kind of sort of going to need it. You're going to need to slow down a little bit. And slowing down a little bit runs counterintuitive to what Gemini is, I feel like. I feel like the energy of Gemini puts the energy of Jupiter on, like, 10 or 11 because there's two sides running on 10. It puts you on 20, 21, or 22. And the scale stops at like 7. So you're doing triple the work. But it might be time to, like, calm down, to center, to focus, to pick something that, and then I think this came up for the jury's reading, maybe. It had to be the jury's reading, Jupiter and Aries, where it's like, you may want to settle on something that is a little bit more dynamic. Find one thing that you can stick to that isn't necessarily going to make you feel like you're not moving at all, like you're not learning anything, like you're not growing. Jumini probably does not like to feel that. And it might be more networking, right? You could be like working for a tech company, maybe like systems and communication. I mean, that might be more Jaquarius than Jumini, but I don't know, something. It's a type of work where you like talk to people. You get like a marketing type person, like a sales, like a part of a sales force or something like that, right? And then when you are on a sales force, depending on the company you work for, it's like, each customer is different. So you're doing the research into like what they stand for, their values, their morals, their company policies. I didn't even mention the fact. Yes, I did. Never mind. Sorry. I was gonna say I didn't even mention the fact that you had the Three of Cups up here, but I did. So maybe like this is like a board meeting, right? And that's you up top, and then the other people on the side. I don't even know if you can see this. If it's dark, it's dark. Shoot. But that's you up top, and then the other two people on the side. And this is like all of the research that you have to do on the back end, all of the networking that you have to do as a sales op person. I'm assuming, because I've never done it, but this is, my Jupiter is somewhere, and I'm connected to something. So if it resonates, take it. But that might be something you enjoy. And that might be a way to do something dynamic, to do something fresh, to utilize your skills in an area that you would be successful in, that it's supposed to bring you good fortune. And it'll give you that Eight of Pentacles stability, long-term mastering and honing one craft without feeling confining and boring and like it's the same every day. Next is something for you to think about. Something for you to think about, Jumini. You got the Moon in reverse and the High Priestess in reverse. All that water, all that hiddenness. Look at all these majors. Yes. I don't think Juris got too many majors. Oh, and then you got the Seven of Pentacles in reverse. Mold breaker. Yeah, I ain't gonna sing the rest because I don't even know the rest. So I feel like one thing to think about is like, is there a reason behind why you are the way you are? Why you're resisting this change? And man, I don't know if any of the other ones necessarily got this deep. But if you're the type of person that has a fear of commitment because of, like, the Moon is here and the High Priestess is here and they're both in reverse, so you might not even know why you have this, but it's something to dig into and something to think about. Jupiter is really lighthearted and it's really fun, but it can also be serious, right? And like, if you're the type of person that can't keep a job, or, once you're at a job for a certain amount of time, then you find that situations happen where you get in trouble more, or you start to sabotage it. And it's like, once you've had a job for so long, or once you've been in a relationship for so long, then it falls apart and you don't know why. And that's why you don't really fully commit to anything, even if it's work. That's why you like having multiple streams of income, just in case if one fails, then like, you'll be covered. There's like this lack of, like, you're not giving fully. or you could be giving more, and you don't want to give more because giving more it's unsettling, it's uncomfortable, and there's a reason why, Jiminy. And you've got to find it. It doesn't have to be a fear of commitment. Like, that could be someone walking out on you, someone walking out on someone you love. That could be the sudden passing of something. Any sudden change to structure, to stability, can lead some of us to then find discomfort in it because we don't want to be in a position where we're comfortable again and then things suddenly change. We want to be prepared for the worst case scenario. And I think there's a difference between being prepared for the worst case scenario and living the worst case scenario. And by that, I mean, it's like, there's a difference between having a bunker and living in a bunker. There's a huge difference between having a storehouse and living in the storehouse. One you have in case something goes wrong. The other one you are in because of the inevitability of something going wrong. And you believing that something is inevitably going to go wrong, you then find yourself in situations where things go wrong, or you sabotage things that wouldn't go wrong and you make them go wrong. And then you sort of and then it reaffirms that, see, this is exactly why I have multiple streams. Because if I didn't have multiple streams, I would be on the street right now with no money. It's like, okay, well, if you didn't sabotage this opportunity, you wouldn't be in this situation either. So, man, Jiminy, I did not think I was gonna go this deep. If it resonates, it resonates. If it doesn't resonate, watch and see if something else resonates. See if the situation is different. Like I said, it can apply in multiple areas. It's just the energy. Energy can manifest itself in different ways in different areas of life, but still have the same root, signature, or frequency, or lesson that it's teaching you. Or just click off, Feel free to do that too. So next we have the Mother of Wands. I was almost going to say the Mother of Swords for some reason. The Mother of Wands in reverse and the Six of Pentacles upright. And this is sitting in the space of something to study, right? Something to hone and to get better at. With the Six of Pentacles, it's about giving and receiving. It can be receiving. Because I feel like the Mother of Wands upright is the Mother of Wands in reverse is maybe a little too fiery, a little too independent. Look at her on these eggs. She ain't gonna let nobody come in and touch those eggs. And good mom, good on you, mom. Protect your babies, but don't suffocate them. Because if you crush the eggs under your full body weight, then you only have yourself to blame for that, because nobody else came in and touched your eggs. You're the only one on top of these eggs. And I don't know if these eggs can support your full body weight, because those are babies. Right? Oh my gosh, she's upright. I'm so sorry, Jiminy. She's upright. But the message still stands. So, this is protecting the eggs. This is not putting your full body weight on it. This is standing in your power. This is knowing who you are. This is you being great. So I think this is for you to learn that the situations that have happened to you are in no means a reflection of who you are as a person. And where you've been in your life is by no means a reflection of where you can go or how far you will go. Everything that happens to us is to teach us a lesson. And we can dwell in those lessons, and we can dwell in the situations, or we can take the lessons for what they are, extract the information we need from the lesson, and use it to further ourselves and to progress ourselves. And I think that is what you're being called to do. It's you have a certain skill set. Even the fact that you can manage so many different things at the same time, if this is resonating and you have multiple streams of income, and they're all flourishing, or they're all doing well enough to bring in something, then that's a skill set too. That's a skill. That's multitasking. That is management of resources and time. Not to mention all the people who you would come in contact with. That's it's a skill, right? Being a mom is one of the best things I feel like you could put on a resume. Especially like a good mom. Not to say, like who's a good mom, who's a bad mom, but it's like, all of the different tasks and jobs that you do as a mom, as a parent in general. Um, the dividing of your attention while still getting results, like, I don't know, it's like you're built for a high dynamic, high demand, almost even sometimes sort of job. Um, but you have to begin to know and believe that before you can really build off of it. And once you come into the knowing of that, then you will start receiving that. You will start receiving opportunities that reflect that. And honestly, it's like you start receiving opportunities that reflect it, but also you stop taking things that are beneath you. Once you know why you do the things you do, you can more clearly look at and see. You can turn this moon and the high priestess upright. See, they're in reverse. You can turn them upright. So then next time you know with the high priestess, what situation am I getting in with the moon here? Even if the moon is new, the high priestess knows exactly where that moon is because she has that ability of foresight and she knows herself well enough to know, to feel when an energy comes into her area that runs in direct conflict with what she's building, what she's protecting, who she is, and what she's growing. Right? Like, if it don't grow these plants, then I don't need it in my garden. Quite frankly. I'm just like, I don't need it. If you're not helping me, I don't need you, and I'm not sorry about it. I'm just not. Like you don't have to be Jumini. Oof, I saw that upright. So y'all ain't crushing it. But y'all crushing it. Hey. I don't know why I just did that. You're not crushing the eggs, but you could be crushing it at work. But it is like it's coming into a greater knowledge and awareness of who you are and what your abilities are. Because maybe you'll be coming upon an opportunity to do just this. And you may feel that you're not qualified or that you don't have the skill set and abilities to fully see it through, but you kind of do. It's like one day I was talking about, and I can't remember what cards came out, but it was like, when, let's say you have a kid who's learning how to ride a bike. It's like you take the training wheels off and they're so focused on staying balanced and moving that they don't realize that they're actually riding the bike. But when you say, "Oh my gosh, Kenzie," I don't know why Kenzie came to mind, but "Oh, Kenzie, you're doing it," and then Kenzie's like, "What? I'm doing it," and then she loses her balance and then she spills. It's because when you become aware of who you are and what you're doing, it runs when you become aware of your magnificence. And when you become aware of the power and the ability and the strength that you have, it runs directly opposite to the narrative that has been pushed upon you as someone who is weak, someone who isn't good enough, someone who's too fragmented and all over the place to really stick to, someone who's too damaged to commit to anything. When you realize exactly who you are, it runs in direct opposition to this story that's being pressed upon you. And you get to make the decision of, are you going to have the strength of this tiger and say, I know who I am and that's not me. I ain't even got to fight. And you just a tree. Right? You're not going anywhere. I can literally walk right by you, tree, and you're still going to be there. So just because you can't move doesn't mean I'm going to be stuck. And I'm not going to be stuck. Hopefully you're not going to be stuck, Jumini. Because you don't have to be. Oh, this became beautiful. I'm loving it. Now y'all got 3 cards. 3 cards. Oh, and this is the space of a blockage. Girl, what's blocking y'all? 7 of Swords in reverse, 7 of Cups in reverse, and the Hierophant in reverse. 2 7s and a Hierophant, all in reverse. Up here, what if it's another 7 up here? I'll be shook. Oh, it's the Lovers. Aww. The Lovers also in reverse, though. This could be a toxic lover, low key. And it could be someone that you were with for a long time with the Hierophant right here in reverse, but just because you're with someone for a long time doesn't necessarily mean that they're good for you. And if they aren't good for you, then the damage that they inflict upon you becomes more ingrained into your psyche and into who you think you are. But it's like whatever the situation was, it could be a lover, it could be a job that you were at for a long time, it could be a boss, it could be someone who was in a position to grow you in beautiful ways, but instead of growing you, they kind of sort of tore you down. And it happened over a long period of time with the Hierophant here. But it's like, they stripped you of all of your beauty and all of your magnificence. They made you think that they stripped you of all of your beauty and all of your magnificence, made you think that they were the only option that you had, and that you were never going to get better and you were never going to get anything else. But it's time to turn all of this upright, to realize that nothing has been taken from you. You still have the thing that you thought was stolen from you, there's a part of you that hid it to make the other person think that it was gone so that they stopped trying to take it from you. But in reality, they didn't steal it. All they did was bury it under a lot of garbage that they piled on top of it. And it's for you to then realize that you have many options available to you, that you can still do everything that you wanted to do before this person stole it from you. But it's going to require some deep healing on your part. And it's going to require some very intentional work on your part. And it's going to require some distance to be put between these geese. Right? It's like you can't fly with everything that you used to fly with before. You can't. And if it requires cutting someone toxic out and moving away, then cut them out and move away. Because you have a lot of energy here that is trying to get you to see how talented and beautiful and magnificent and special and skilled you actually are. And there's a lot of ways that I feel like you may be looking at yourself. There's a lot of strength and a lot of skills that you have, that you exhibit naturally and effortlessly, that you don't even see because of the narrative that's been spun around you. And the only person who can undo that really is you. Now, it could be the situation where, let's say, you meet someone and it turns this lever upright, right? You meet someone, you have an opportunity that pours into you in a way that you've never been poured into before. And so it sort of catalyzes everything. But at the end of the day, you're still the one who still has to do all of the healing and all of the heavy lifting. Someone can help you, but if you don't begin to internalize it, then you could lash out against someone who's actually trying to help you, and you can end up pushing them away. So you still got to be in a mode to help yourself, because other people can only do so much for you. And then last but certainly not least, we have the Devil upright and the Two of Cups upright. Okay, all right. Well, so we went from the Lovers to the Two of Cups and the Devil. So this could be a Capricorn. Or you could be a Capricorn, right? Let's say you have Capricorn in your chart. It's like you can use that Capricorn in your chart to help build you in ways that can compensate for the areas that are destroyed. Let's say that you have a Capricorn in Venus, right? And a lot of times I've heard from Bohemian Stars and Ocean Heart readings, maybe, or Shonda Rhi's Humanistic Astrology. Those are two people who I watch on YouTube who talk about astrology. And Heart of Inspiration, I believe she talks about astrology now. She does astrology now too. But I think it was Bohemian Hearts and Ocean Heart readings who told me that, Venus is the energy are like, it's what attracts people to you unless you have a really active Venus. Like my Venus is in Aries, so I tend to go after people a lot more than attracting people to me. And a lot of times, like the people that I naturally attract to me, it turns out I don't really go for. But that might be my own stories to unwind and lessons to unpack. But it's like, if your Venus is in Capricorn, then what attracts people to you is your stability in a way that is like very organized. Like, I feel like Capricorn can take chaos and make a mess. Capricorn can take chaos and make a mess out of it. Capricorn and Virgo too probably can take a mess and create structure out of it. Now, where I feel like Capricorn would have the advantage over Virgo is I feel like Virgo might get too lost into the perfection of that structure and how tight it is. Where I feel like Capricorn might be, since it is that more cardinal energy, it's like it understands that, like new things are going to come up, but we have a plan for when they do. I feel like Virgo is just like Capricorn 24/7. Where it's like, gotta be perfect, gotta be perfect, gotta be perfect. It's like creating and recreating and recreating and recreating and recreating that structure. But with Capricorn, it's like, I create the structure once, I know it's solid, I'm moving on to the next project. Because, like, my plan is flawless, it's gonna work. And so, if that's one of the things that people say about you, if that's one of the things that people compliment you on, maybe that's it. Like, with the Two of Cups, and I know I'm reading this weird, but with the Two of Cups, you could begin to look at the things that people compliment you on. And even if you're not the type of person who readily accepts compliments from people, or your self-worth is, I don't want to say your self-worth is so low that you don't really accept compliments, but if your self-worth is so low that you don't really know how to accept compliments, or that you think that people are lying when they compliment you, with the energy of the High Priestess and the Moon, and even the Mother of Wands, it's like, start there. Look at all the things that people compliment you on, and look at the things that people say draw them to you. And even the people who have been toxic, even the situations that haven't been great, like they've still been drawn to you for a reason. And it's usually, or it can be the case, that sometimes the reason why they're drawn to you is something that they may interpret as a vulnerability or a weakness. And it could be a vulnerability and a weakness if you're not aware of it and if you allow people to use it against you. But once you become aware of your vulnerabilities, they no longer are weaknesses, right? Because you know about them. Like, I know ways in which I'm vulnerable, and I know ways in which I can be led towards someone. And so now whenever I feel someone sort of picking on those in me, then I'm like, okay, like, what are you doing? Because I'm aware that I'm like this. And I'm aware that I can be the type of person that gives very selflessly. I was going to say selfishly. I can be a very selfless giver. And so if I come across someone who sort of like, they may not know that at first, but then they sort of get to know that and then they begin to take advantage of it, then I'm like, okay, I have the awareness to know that I'm like this. And it looks to me like you're starting to take advantage of that. So what are you doing? But yeah, also, I don't know, this could be a warning. I'm not feeling it as a warning of like, stay out of the bottle. Maybe you had a toxic lover who, like, once they drunk or they had some other kind of addiction, that, that's when the nasty stuff would come out. And so, in the same way that some people can see the good in someone who treats them badly, it's like it's time for you to see the good in yourself, even though you've made mistakes. So, the same excuses you can make for someone else, you can make for yourself. You're a great person, even though you've done this and you've done that. And you have this to offer, even though it's been taken advantage of in this way, and that 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 way. That doesn't take away from the fact that you're a great person. You're still a great person, right? You just need to learn how to hone it all. Oh, and this is something I got I forgot to do from the dress reading, but oh well. I feel like these are pretty comprehensive enough. I might not even do it in this one, honestly. And now I'll try to get some advice. And I'll pull this one right here. What is that? I was about to sit on top of the Mother of Wands. You got the Emperor upright. You got the Son of Pentacles upright. And the Daughter of Cups in reverse. So I think it may be time to prioritize actions over words and feelings. With the Emperor is an energy that is not moved by empty words alone. Right? The Emperor, the Son of Pentacles, and the Daughter of Cups in reverse. Like, if someone is coming back and they see you working hard and they're trying to come back and be like, oh my gosh, like, I was sorry, like I did this and I did that and blah, 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 blah. Like, if they're not coming back with an action plan, don't take them back. With this Emperor energy, I believe it's time for you to sit down, to bring everything together, to strategize, to sit down, to plan a way forward. Excuse me, the sun, the energy of the sun is in this Emperor card. And then you have the moon right here. You have 2 trees in the moon, you have a tree in the sun. It's time to bring yourself out of the darkness. I feel like you're fragmented here. Right, because you have the moon up here and the 2 small trees, but in this together, there's 1 big tree in the sun. I feel like you've sort of been like split in 2. And it's time for you to do all of that work that no one will ever see in your own darkness. And I feel like it's time to face your emotional shadows and your trauma. Right? Because upright, it's like, her reflection in the water is all of her beauty and all of the colors that make up her soul and her as a person. But in reverse, it's like those are the colors that, in reverse, it's like they bleed into the swan and they give it its color again. It's time for you to get your color back. And then the last clarifier from the Significator deck is the 4 of Swords, now upright, where it was in reverse before, and the energy of the healer. No, the energy of the angel, which is Temperance, is in the window. I don't know if you saw that. But that's Temperance in the window. Wearing the Ankh. The Ankh signifies life. I think this is you. It's time to bring yourself back to life. It's time for you to re-embody the joy that you had before everything started to tear you down. And if you can't remember who you were before all of these situations, then you're in for a magnificent ride. And have fun getting to know yourself all over again. Getting to know yourself outside of all the situations and outside of all the people who would tear you down, who would belittle you, and who will tell you that you're not worth much of anything outside of them. Because I feel like those types of people know, those types of situations, like, they entered that for a reason. And I feel like they probably get to know how great you are. Especially if things start off okay and then they deteriorate. It's like they try to put you down so you don't realize how great you are so that you leave them. Because honestly, if you weren't in the space that you were in, I believe you're going to start realizing that some of these people, some of these situations, you should have never really been involved with in the first place. And you were kind of sort of only there because you didn't have the knowledge and the awareness to know everything that you're going to be coming to know. So it's not going to be easy by any means. But I do believe that, you're going to find the strength to sort of go within, to integrate everything that you know to be true about yourself, to find everything that you will come to know as true about yourself, to reclaim all of these bits and pieces that have been hacked and slashed and dashed and scattered across the planet, and to break the chains to not being fully committed and not seeing anything through to the end, to regain a sense of balance and stability, to reclaim peace in your life, to allow more equivalent relationships of give and take, to allow people to give to you and to be able to comfortably receive it without expectation of it being used against you, and to then also at the same time be able to give to people full-heartedly from a space that isn't keeping them with you when honestly you're better off without them. Um, and it's starting to love yourself and giving to yourself in a way that can be beautifully complemented by everything else coming in. Because the space that you hold yourself in dictates and determines what then becomes your experience. Um, and yeah, all the best, Jumini. Um, you got this. The Emperor came out. So be strong. Use your head a little more. Your heart might not help you too much right now. Um, Once you heal your heart, once you make your own heart full, once you mend your own heart, then you can bring your heart into the equation. But it seems like right now, um, the follow your head. And it's not to follow your head and to do situations that, like, compromise yourself by any means, but you don't want to allow yourself to be taken advantage of when you're in this space of healing and finding out who you really are. You might need to get a little bit of space and to do it alone. Like, there's some cards, like all of the work cards are in the dark, really. Um, and so, yeah. All right, all the best. Love and light and all that good stuff. I absolutely wish you the best, Gemini. I don't know. This low key is kind of my favorite so far. Just because I feel like you have the potential to transmute a lot of pain and a lot of the past into strength and into something very beautiful. And I'm just excited to see the world that you create for yourself and the situations that you put yourself in as you become more whole and integrated, and as you realize like the breadth of everything that you have to offer, because I feel like you have a lot to offer and you excel in situations that are very dynamic, are very demanding. Like, you excel in areas that require your attention to be split but require you to be united at the same time. Like, multitasking genius is what I'm feeling. Uh, but yeah, I'm going to shut this down here. Have a good one. Bye.